This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Greg Morton. It is Saturday, February 26, 2022. And then this is the weekend video update for Canslim Growth Stock Investors, brought to you by the meetup groups, Greenville Eastside IBD Meetup Group and the Stockyard Meetup Group. As always, educational purposes only, not recommending any stocks or securities to buy or sell. And I think y'all know this by now. So today, let's look at the M factor. Look at current trading plan. We're, the growth bear market still going on. Going to do a little different chart review, and then we'll touch on our upcoming educational monthly meeting. So as always, as Bill teaches us, the M is the most important letter in Canslim. We want to diagnose, we want to interpret, we don't want to predict. We want to look at three things: the action of leading stocks, the actions of stocks owned. Still pretty slim pickings there. That tells us something about the market, and the market pulse, distribution day count, price and volume on the indexes. This week, I kind of think a picture sums things up better before we look at the details. And it was just a wild roller coaster week, and there's no other way to put that. So we had heavy selling that continued on Tuesday and Wednesday this week, and Monday was a holiday. We had heavy selling the end of the prior week, and on Wednesday, the rally was officially pronounced dead. We undercut the most recent low, which happened to be the last rally day. And then Wednesday evening, Russia invaded Ukraine. Thursday morning, the markets were just body slammed down, but then recovered all that and finished way up. The NASDAQ was down over 3% and it finished up over 3%, giving us a new rally day. So they say the market exists to fool the masses, and that certainly was a foolhardy day, to say the least. So let's take a look at it. Get out of here. Look at MarketSmith first. Let me go to the daily chart. So here's the NASDAQ daily. So you can see our top was back here. What date was that? Right there, November 22nd, December, January, February. So we're about a little bit over 3 months into this. So here was the rally day low. Here was the follow through day that we had. We also had some subsequent follow through days. All this happened. We had the follow through day under the 21 day, under the 50, under the 200 and under the 50. We still have the 50 has crossed over the 200, which some people call a death cross. Just something I noticed. It's not a real trigger or signal in Canslim because it's kind of a late signal. So we had some subsequent follow through days, and then here we closed below the low of the follow through day. That's the dotted lines right there, closed below. At that point, we have over a 90% chance that this rally and follow through day is going to fail, and it did in fact fail, as I mentioned, when we finally undercut the low of the rally day, not close below. All it takes is an undercut right there. And so that happened this week. So that's what it sort of looked like. Actually, it happened on that day right there. That was Wednesday. So IBD went back to incorrection. And then here was Thursday, the massive plunge down, and then the massive recovery. Had lower volume on Friday, but did have another update. But notice we're just back at the 10-day, still under the 21, which is down, still under the 50-day, which is down, still under the 200-day, in correction territory. This red line right here is actually bear market territory, so the NASDAQ officially got in that this week. If we look at the weekly chart, my interpretation is this was the first leg down, this was the second leg down, and we're working on the third leg down. And maybe this was the bottom in it, or maybe it wasn't. We'll find out in the coming weeks. But to me, I think we're in the third leg of a bear market, and most bear markets have 3 legs down and sometimes more. So S&P 500, Similar, just barely took back the 10-day. No, it just made it to correction territory. It did not get down to bear market territory. But again, we still have the moving average lines pointed down, barely have retaken the 10-day. NYSE, this one looks the best. It only barely dipped into correction territory, but still just back at the 10-day. Dow, same thing, went down, closed in correction territory, did not get back any of the moving average lines. Small caps, which were looking the worst, actually closed down here in bear market territory, hit bear market territory a second time this week, but has recovered, the 10 and is right there at the 21. S&P 600 has recovered the 10 and the 21, still down here in correction territory. So we will see what happens. Let's look at the coloring book and see what this week looked like. So what had happened, so we had 4 days this week. So really Thursday and Friday of the prior week, we were having heavy distribution. We were having clustering, which is 4 and 8. We had 5 and 8, so that's even heavier clustering hitting on those days there. Distribution days were piling up. And so then really on Wednesday was when the rally died and IBD window of opportunity closed and IBD went to in correction also. So that's where we are currently. Here was the rally day on Thursday, so we start counting again. And I do note in my 25-day window, I had the distribution day count actually got as high as 9 on the NASDAQ. So IBD, or really it would have been 10 because we had that day there. So I didn't have room to put it in there. But the white count, IBD quit counting up here once they went into correction, but I just keep tracking it. So their count shown in black, and then the count I was keeping was shown in white. So we had heavy selling there, heavy distribution. And so I only have 9 buying days, 13 selling days in the 25-day window. So it's still a distribution dominant tape. And the other thing is not only dealing with Russia and Ukraine, Monday will only be 11 trading days away from the Fed meeting started, where we're going to get a rate cut. Who knows, quarter point, half point. What are they going to say? How is it going to impact the market? And next week we have the State of the Union speech too, which is interesting in light of all the Russia-Ukraine things that are going on. And then the group teaching portfolio, we're only under 15% invested, down 10.4% for the year. Only have 2 positions. Everything stopped out except Regeneron, and I just took a pilot in the short arc on Friday when it pulled back to the 10-day line. So we'll see if the markets get hit again next week. We'll get a small gain in that, and I'll have to decide what the sell rule is going to be on that. And again, it's just a pilot. It's just 20% position size. So just sort of doing that to test things out. We'll see what it looks like. So we looked at that. Go back to this. Current wall of worry, rate hike front, obviously inflation, obviously balance sheet tightening coming from the Fed, although they haven't started doing that yet, they're still increasing it. And of course, Russia and Ukraine, as well as potentially China and Taiwan. So we'll see what happens there. So as a result, I just see a lot of question marks, sort of my theme of the market, a lot of uncertainty. The market doesn't like uncertainty. So we'll see what happens this week. If something firms up with the Russia-Ukraine situation, maybe some resolution, the market should react positively, but who knows? Tuesday is the earliest day for a follow-through day. That would be day 4. So we'll be watching that. Officially, IBD's in correction. So for most traders, the no button is still on until we get the follow-through day. Advanced, experienced traders may start a partial position or two once we have a rally day. You just sort of got to decide. So still red light. I am seeing more basis setting up now than with the follow through day at the end of January, but also if we go back to the fall 2018 bear, which was the last sort of typical bear market, it had 5 failed rally days, and then it also had 2 more failed rally days / follow through days. And then it was finally that 8th rally day and the 3rd follow through day that worked. And these weren't 5 in a row. I mean, they were scattered, maybe first 3 and then had one that had a follow through day, and they just fell apart. And we've looked at those in detail in our meeting and kind of walked through those bear markets. So again, Canslim works better when NASDAQ's trending above an uptrending 50-day line. So right now it's under the 50-day and it's not trending up. And it works best when the NASDAQ's trending above an uptrending 21-day EMA line. So we're still in hostile environment. I struck out the word very for this weekend, but we're still below better and best without a doubt. So charts, lots of damage. I put these in a list. Let's just look at, these are all what I consider Canslim breakouts since the last follow through day, which was on January 31st. So these, they were in order. Somehow Vroom got up on the top. That's not right. That was the last one. So GSL, just looking how these did, tried to break out, failed, triggered sell rule. UPS tried to break out, failed, triggered sell rule. Antero Resources tried to break out, came down, now trying to come back. Google tried to break out, has failed. Stifel Financial tried to break out, failed. So I didn't cherry pick these. These are the order in which they happened and the eventual outcome. TGH tried to break out, it's come back down under the 50 and all the way to the 200-day. Deere tried to break out, failed. RHI tried to break out, came down in the sell zone, probably would have stopped everybody out trying to come back up. Atcor tried to break out, came all the way back down to the bottom of its space. FMC, this one actually broke out and would not have triggered any sell rules yet. So that's the first one. That's like the 10th one because my numbers are off by 1 before one of these worked. Datadog, that's kind of an early entry, boom, has come back down and actually back below the 50-day. Regeneron, be an early sloping trend line entry, has come back down, but is staying within its 12% deep flat base, but has not worked yet, obviously. GDN tried to break out, triggered everybody out, stop loss. CWK tried to break out, came down, probably would have got stopped out of some of it. Maybe would still be in some of it. And then LNTH, this one gapped massively on earnings, and of course is holding up. And then Vroom was a thin one. It should have been at the bottom of the list because it just happened also. So it's tried to break out, came back into the pink zone, is trying again, but that one's thinner. Yeah, it's under 20 million. I still put it on there because it had Canslim earnings and sales, as you can see right there. So I just went through those as an example of what we're not looking for. If we get a follow through day, if we see the first 2, 3, 4 stocks that break out, even if we're not in them and they're proper Canslim stocks, they've got all the letters that they need to have. We want to see those work and get some traction. So this one, that didn't happen. And also the follow through day was under the moving average lines, which Justin Nielsen has indicated makes it harder for them to work also. So Bill's rule is have to take some exposure if we get a follow through day, but obviously we wade very slowly. If it's not a strong follow through day and if it's still under these moving average lines, and if we don't have stocks setting up. Although there are definitely more setups right now than there were with the January 31st follow through day. So let's go back to that. Our last monthly meeting was back on February 8th. Here's the agenda, all the things we walked through. Those are 2-hour plus meetings. M Factor, looked at new Market Smith tools, looked at follow through days and kind of what are the key questions we're looking at, Reg A mini IPOs, and we looked at bottom and basis. And then we did some post analysis and some IPO discussion. So our next meeting, it was supposed to be Tuesday, March 15th. I might have to move it by one night, so I'll change that on the meetup site. It'll be Wednesday, March 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll look at bear market follow-through day precedents. We'll do some post-analysis review, some IPO discussion, although that's pretty much just rest in peace right now during a bear market. And then the educational segment, we're going to talk about the RS line because that's real important to be on top of right now. So you sign up at the Stockyard Meetup site, tuition's $12 a meeting, includes the recording and the slide deck. If you don't sign up, and everybody that signs up gets that, if you just order them later, they're $15. You know, it's easier to just sign up for the meeting, even if you can't attend the live meeting. And first timers, I'll send you a courtesy copy of the February meeting, recording, slide deck, and related links. So here's a list of the educational topics. If there's old ones you want to order, you can just email me and I'll send you this list. If you don't have written sell rules, I spent 3 full meetings covering that, walking you through the Market Smith's charts, the various sell zones and the rules that we wanted to have, including true market leaders, and then did a complete weekend routine at the September meeting. So if you're a week there, want to see that one, you can reach out. And that one actually spilled over a little bit into October. And then here were the recent ones. Did the rally day, follow through day system extensively in December. And then we looked at bear markets and everything in January. And I just showed you the agenda for what we covered in February. So here's the contact information. You can join the Greenville East Side IBD meetup site and the Stockyard meetup site. This one's just for coordinating the online meetings. You can email me if you want the list of prior meetings and the information on ordering any of those. You can follow me on Twitter and you can look at stuff that's on my YouTube page, which is the Stockyard by Greg Morton, which is where you're watching this. So remember to like and subscribe while you're over there. And there's some other educational videos too. So that's it. Very interesting week ahead. Earnings season continues. And we do have some bases setting up. So we'll see if we can get a follow through day or if we extend this leg down further. So that's it. Y'all have a great weekend review.